What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today I'm here to bring all of you the weekly anime review of Baby Steps Season 2. This episode of Baby Steps, how can I put it in a certain way? Achan is getting fucking wrecked, to put it simple. Like, yes, he's putting up a fight, okay? Yes, Achan is doing the best he possibly can, but looking at this episode, the odds are stacked against him. Like, he's in a really, really bad situation right now, because after witnessing last week's episode, and then seeing this episode, and seeing what was going down, Nabai is completely overpowering Achan in terms of experience, to skill level, to being able to control himself in certain situations with his emotions. Just to see how Nabai was crushing Achan this episode, the gap between them is just way too large. Way too fucking large. See, here's the thing. When it comes to Baby Steps, you really don't know what is going to happen, because Baby Steps has it to where Achan does lose. And I'm fearful that Achan actually might not win this, because in a realistic standpoint, from the way I'm looking at this, match between Achan and Nabai, it does not seem like Achan could really win this match. It doesn't feel like that, because as the episode and the set continues to drag on, now we're reaching into the third set, it looks more and more hopeless for Achan to even try to bring it back, because Nabai has shifted his gears over into his, winning mode, and Achan is being very reckless and aggressive, but also, because of this aggressiveness, it's kind of caused him to hesitate and not be as good as he usually is when it comes to his style of play. And, I understand where Achan is coming from. He can't use his same tactics over and over again, especially against an opponent like Nabai, because Nabai breaks it down and uses your weaknesses against you. And we saw examples of this in last week's episode, and then also in this episode. So, Achan, of course, does have to change his style, his strategy, and probably do something he's not normally used to allow him to evolve as a player. But, to see the way this episode is done, I would not be surprised the way it's going if Achan loses the match. I would not be surprised, because that is the realistic outcome so far from what I see. Unless something really bad happens and Nabai breaks his leg, or his freaking racket shatters in his hand, that's the only way I think he would lose. And I personally believe that Achan is going to lose this if this continues on the way it is looking. Now, in terms of the match, the scope of the match and what this looks like from this episode, I felt like the tension is just rising. It's like crushing my back right now, because when I was sitting here watching this episode, and I'm just seeing the music play, or not seeing, I can't see music. When I was hearing the music, oh my god, it was so good. Like, the music just coming in, and then you hear the freaking, racket, just the volley going back and forth between them, and then they're using their mind, thinking about what they can do. You see Nabai trying to figure this out, you see Achan, and they're both going back and forth. Such a good scene, so much tension in this episode, and this is when you know, the finale of the battle is coming to an end because of the way the tension rises. Usually when it comes to climactic battles like this, what we had with certain matches throughout Season 2 or Season 1, usually the last final episodes really just build up that tension, where you're like, oh my god, what the fuck is gonna happen? And that's kind of the way this episode is going right now. It's gearing towards, you don't know what is gonna happen, anything can happen, and you're just left with your hands up in the air like, oh my god, this is too damn good. And that's kind of what this episode was. So, in simpler terms, I don't think Achan is going to be able to continue to do what he's going to be doing. For instance, him going down this path of being reckless or also hesitating, I don't think that is the proper way to go about this, because it's obviously not working. He's losing, but he needs to do something. And so, if he continues this path of the way he's going with his tennis at the moment with this episode or match, he's gonna lose. So, something drastic has to change by next week's episode for him to really kick it into high gear and win this. Because if you look at the end of the episode, actually, I want to take a few moments to acknowledge this. you will see Achan as he's down and out and all that, and you hear the music like pumping up and all that for the finale when the ending song's coming up. He's thinking really hard, and all of a sudden he removes the towel on his head, and you see his eyes like shine and all that. It looks like he is getting into like winning mode as well, like Nabai. For instance, it looks like Achan is shifting gears into like, I'm going to fucking win this. That's kind of the way it looked like to me when I was watching this episode. But that's my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.